Good morning and welcome to DFW Close-Up. I'm Rebecca Combs. Coming up on the show, we have two adorable puppies in studio. You'll get to learn more about them, and one organization is making a difference in Dallas with food. Find out more. Plus, want to get involved in the community but don't know how? We have the answer. But first, New Year's resolutions are great, but they could be sending you to the hospital if you're not careful. Stick around because all that's coming up next on DFW Close-Up as we put the community first. Now, we all know that New Year's is the perfect time to start resolutions, start working out, but sometimes you can kind of injure yourself, and that's not good. And with me today, I have Dr. Thornton to tell us a little bit more about that. Thank you for joining me today.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Of course.
I work out at Baylor Emergency Center in Aubrey, Texas. And as you said, New Year's is often a time when we see an increased number of injuries, and some of them are pretty simple injuries, and some of them can be pretty complex injuries related to people who they want to make their lives better. They kind of look at the past and then look at the future like we all do. It seems like a natural time of the year, traditional time of the year to do that, and so we all start making plans for how we can make ourselves either healthier or better fit. So we do see some injuries related to that.
Now, can you really see that big of a difference in January, like percentage-wise?
Yeah, you know, I would say probably at least 15 or 20% increase around the new year, and it seems like it maybe stretches out to about March, and then by that time either everybody's injured and well, or they've kind of figured out what they need to do so that they're not injured again.
Well, it's usually about the time I see people leave the gym.
Right, exactly.
And
that too.
Yeah, and I was telling you, you know, I work out, and sometimes I push myself too hard, and I end up pulling a slightly important muscle. And I don't want to tell myself, oh yeah, go to the doctor, you know, you're hurt. But I don't know when I should. So what's your advice on that?
Well, there are some obvious times when you want to go see a physician. If you start a new exercise program, if you're a young, healthy person, odds are you don't really need a giant physical to go out and do that. Somebody my age, you might want to start with a good physical just to make sure that you're healthy to do the program that you want. And a lot of it's careful planning. There are a lot of people who imagine in their minds that they're in the same condition that they were 10 years ago. And so that's where they start their exercise program. So the first thing is just to be realistic about, you know, where you need to start your program. If you start your program at a place where your current level of physical ability exists, then you're less likely to injure yourself. And then pick an activity that's that's appropriate for where you're at. For me, football would not be a good activity. Walking might be a more appropriate activity. For some other people, it might involve some other sports that are higher risk for injuries. But
okay. Awesome. And how do you train? I mean, I know you have certain things that you've brought here, but are these ways that you can train, or that maybe prevent, just like by buying better shoes and things like that?
Absolutely. Preventing injuries, I think, having the right equipment, and then making sure that you know how to use the equipment and planning for how to use the equipment. Shoes are real important. If you're going to start a walking program, for instance, or a jogging program, you want to make sure that you have a shoe that has a good leather toe, a good leather instep, and then a broad platform. And the purpose for that's really obvious. If you step on something that might cause you to twist an ankle, if you've got a broader platform, that's less likely to happen. So right. A good shoe with good support prevents foot injuries. And then in addition to that, if you decide that you want to do something a little bit more strenuous, we have these weights, and they come in all different sizes. This is an 8-pounder, and when I picked that up, I thought, okay, this is age.
Leave that right there.
It's age inappropriate for me, even probably, to start with this. But if you're going to start with weights, you want to make sure that you have something. These are plastic coated, so you're not as likely to smash a toe or something if you drop it. But make sure that you pick the appropriate weight, and you can usually pick them up and kind of see if that's appropriate or not. And then we have some other aids. They're these little power bands. I kind of like these. They're good for rehabbing from injuries, and they're also good for stretching. You can actually put them inside your feet and then walk your feet apart. You can also put one over your toe and stretch out muscles doing that. And then I think probably everybody has seen what I call a roller board. You can use this to stretch your back, your stomach, any number of other body parts. But I think it's important when you start a new exercise program to make sure that you start slow. There's a lot of conversation in the medical community about how valuable stretching is, but starting slow and warming up, I think the conversation is pretty positive that you need to at least do that. So.
Right. Awesome. Well, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today. We've learned so much, and I'll know to go to the doctor when it's the right time now, and not hurt myself even worse.
Well, hopefully the really bad things won't happen. Some people will start an exercise program and they'll have chest pain or exercise too long, and if that happens, you can get dehydrated. Those are times when you definitely want to go to the doctor. Other sprains and strains, after they've been adequately evaluated so that you know that they're not fractures or something worse, then you can get back to a routine after they heal. So.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. We have so much more coming up. Another way you may be wanting to get the new year on the right track is by volunteering. But here's the big question: where do you start? We have the answer and so much more on the other side of the break.